Have you ever had your therapist ask you for therapy during your session? I'd been seeing Dr. Whitmore for 6 months to deal with my divorce. She was excellent, professional, helped me process everything. I was finally making progress when everything flipped during what should have been a routine Tuesday session. I walked in talking about a breakthrough I'd had about setting boundaries with my ex. Mid-sentence, I noticed Dr. Whitmore hadn't written anything down. She was staring at her coffee mug like it held the secrets of the universe. Everything okay? I asked. She looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life? I laughed nervously. That's actually what I wanted to discuss today, because I just realized I've been living my mother's life for 43 years. She set down her pen. Became a therapist because she was one. Married a doctor because she did. Had 2 kids, boy and girl, just like her. Dr. Whitmore, I think, call me Janet, she interrupted. God, I hate being called doctor. You know what I wanted to be? A park ranger. I wanted to live in the mountains and study wolves. I shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should reschedule? But at 18, my mom convinced me that was impractical. So here I am, listening to people's problems in a beige office that smells like vanilla candles I'm allergic to, but keep buying because my mother insists they're calming. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. This is my husband. We haven't had a real conversation in 3 years. We communicate through our shared Google Calendar. Last week, he scheduled intimacy for Thursday at 9 p.m. I declined the invitation. I didn't know what to say. This was the woman who'd been helping me process my emotional baggage, and suddenly, she was unpacking her entire life on her own couch. You know what triggered this? She laughed bitterly. Your ex-wife. When you described how she always did what her family expected, never what she wanted. That's me. I'm your ex-wife. I don't think you're quite like yesterday. My daughter told me she wants to drop out of pre-med to become a chef. I heard myself saying exactly what my mother said to me about the wolves, word for word. I became my mother mid-sentence. She stood up and walked to the window. I haven't been happy in 20 years. 2 decades of pretending this is what I want. Janet, I said carefully, I think you need to talk to someone about this. You know, professionally. She turned around and stared at me. I'm talking to you. You've been through this. How did you know your marriage was over? When I realized I was apologizing for existing, I heard myself say. She sat back down, but in the patient chair next to me instead of behind her desk. I apologize for existing every single day. To my husband, my kids, my mother, even to my patients. I'm constantly sorry for taking up space. For the next 40 minutes, I found myself therapizing my therapist. We talked about her fear of disappointing people, her mother's narcissistic control, her husband's emotional absence. She took notes on everything I said, occasionally asking, is that from your experience or a general observation? When our time was up, she stood and walked back to her desk. Same time next week? Are you going to charge me for this? She looked at the clock. Oh God, I just spent your entire session talking about myself. Her face went red. I'm so sorry. This is completely unprofessional. I'll refund this session and refer you to— No, I interrupted. This was actually helpful. How could listening to my problems possibly help you? Because for the first time in 6 months, I realize my mess isn't unique. Even therapists are just trying to figure it out. She smiled sadly. That's very kind, but I crossed a huge boundary. I should report myself. Or, I suggested, you could just get your own therapist and we pretend this never happened. The next week, I showed up not knowing what to expect. Dr. Whitmore was back in professional mode, hair pulled back, notebook ready. But there was something different. She'd replaced the vanilla candles with nothing. The beige walls had a single photo of mountains. Before we start, she said, I owe you an apology and a thank you. I've started seeing someone myself. Dr. Rodriguez, 3 floors up. The wolf thing? She smiled. I'm taking a sabbatical next year. There's a research position in Yellowstone. We never talked about that session again, but something had shifted. She was more real, less scripted. And weirdly, I made more progress in the following months than I had in the previous 6. Last week was my final session. As I left, she handed me a card. Inside was a photo of her in hiking gear, surrounded by mountains. The note said, thank you for reminding me that even therapists need therapy. P.S. I'm getting divorced. Your boundary advice worked.